Hi, today we're going to take a look at the Lenovo IdeaPad 3i Essential Laptop. It's an i5 processor, 12th generation, 15-inch screen, 512 gigabytes of storage, and 8 gigabytes of RAM. This is part of the Amazon Vine Voice review program. So let's take a look and see what we got. All right, so just a quick stroll through the website, then we'll look at some actual screenshots. Um, Again, they're targeting this as kind of an essential, I'm going to say a school laptop for sake of a better word. It has some very nice features. It took me a little while to configure. I'll explain that in a second, but overall, it's got some good features. Let's see if I'm missing anything here. Um, it is, like I said, the latest 12th gen processor, so the CPU actually is pretty darn fast for this generation, especially a low wattage um, system. It does have a full HD 1080p display, as well as an IPS screen, so the images are really nice and sharp and crisp, as you can see from the various cameras. It's fairly lightweight. It's about 4 pounds or less. It weighs hardly anything compared to some of my other systems that I have. And it's relatively thin, and it has a good variety of ports. Um, Switch camera views over here to the actual unit. So you can see it's got backlit screen, a backlit keyboard, excuse me, and it also has a numeric keypad. There's not a lot of separation between the two, but it's nice to have if you are doing data entry. Trackpad works well. Actually, it's one of the better working trackpads that I've used in a while in some of my testing. A couple other nice things. Don't know if you can see it here. It has a little shutter on the camera. So if you want some privacy, you can see a little red dot, which means your camera's off. Um, as far as ports go, let's see what we got here. So USB 2 port on the right hand side. We've got an SD card slot on the right hand side. On the left hand side, let's see if we can do this properly. We do have a USB format C port. It's a 3.2 Gen 1, so 5 gigabits per second. An HDMI port and a USB 3 port, also 5 gigabits per second. One nice thing on the USB-C port, it has video pass-through on that, so you can use that just as a single connector to your monitor. You still might need an external power adapter. This is not a high watt power supply. It's like a 65 watt power supply. So you probably won't be able to power your monitor through here, but at least you could drive it, which means in theory you could have two additional monitors connected to it. Switch views again. We'll take a look at some of the benchmarking. So again, it's low power, 15 watt Adler Lake, Alder Lake, excuse me, i5. It's 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 not bad, right? You can see it's got two performance cores plus 8 cores, so 10 cores total. Um, Continue on. If we look at the embedded hard drive, it's an okay hard drive. First of all, it's a PCI 3, not PCI 4. So don't expect super high performance out of the drive. But again, in this form factor, in this use case, it's fine. I was able to achieve about 2200 read and about 1200 write. Again, perfectly respectable for this use case. There are faster drives out there. I don't see much of a reason to try to put a high-speed drive into this system. What I want to show you here, it does have Wi-Fi 6. It's not 6E, but it is Wi-Fi 6, so you can get some fairly performant uh, Wi-Fi over the two primary 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz bandwidths. It just doesn't support the 6 gigahertz. It has 8 gig of RAM. You're probably going to want to upgrade that to 16. So when I first ran the test, ignore this test, but when I first ran this test, really horrible performance. I was really scared and disappointed. You can see that this came in at the fourth percentile. Um, in general, that means that 96% of the computers out there in this benchmark are faster. So something was wrong. I downloaded all the drivers I could find. I eventually had to manually force install the BIOS update from Lenovo, and then I had to force install the Intel graphics driver update from the Intel website itself. The difference was moving from fourth percentile to 36th percentile. So massive improvement. Um, in performance by getting the right drivers. It's a shame that through whatever mechanisms that are automatic, it couldn't get those drivers updated, but that's kind of the state of things the way they are these days. Um, but yeah, once I got the right drivers loaded, I was pretty happy with the overall performance. It's not a gaming system, but just for fun, I ran some gaming benchmarks on it, and you can see on this the Valley benchmark, um, I was able to get between 12 and 47, an average of about 25 frames per second. That's okay, right? That's full 1080p, right? I could have got faster frames if I dropped it down to 720p. But if you're just gonna play a game for 15 minutes, it's perfectly fine for that, although that's not its primary use case. The other thing I wanted to show you quickly is disassemble. So you've got a handful of screws that you pull off. You can pry it off if you grab onto the back here and kind of work your way around it. You can pry off the cover. This gets you to the internals. So if you wanted to upgrade the primary storage, you could. Very easy to pull that out, put in something new. Unless you need massive amounts of storage, I don't see any reason to do it. I wouldn't waste money putting in a state-of-the-art fast drive. It's only Gen 3 to begin with, so you're not going to gain a ton. Um, this is the RAM, so there's a little piece of sticky tape here. So you peel off the sticky tape along the back. That exposes where the memory is stored. I already installed the memory, but you just slide in the DDR4 memory into here, and then put it back the way it was. So I highly recommend putting another 8 gig of DDR4 memory in there. I wouldn't put in anything more than 8 gig. That'll get you 16 gig total. You'll have 2 banks. You'll get about a 10% performance boost. What else can I show you about it? Really, that's the long and the short of it. The screen is nice and bright. Switch to a different camera view here. Um, the keyboard has a good travel, good feel to it. I'd have no problem using this as my primary keyboard for a little while. Um, Battery life is pretty good. I got about 4 to 6 hours of battery life on it. Not at full brightness, obviously. Plays movies really well. Overall, it's a pretty good all-around computer. I wouldn't use it for any graphic intensive stuff, right? So if you're producing videos, viewing videos is one thing, but producing videos, transcoding them, encoding them, whatever word you want to use, isn't fantastic because there's no dedicated graphics processor unit other than the built-in Intel CPU. But yeah, I recommend this. It's a good all-around computer. If you're looking for something basic but durable and fairly performant, I think this is a good balance of price and performance. That's all I got. That's all she wrote. Thanks so much for listening.